Hey everybody, movie reviewer next door here, and I'm back with another movie review, and this time I'm reviewing Lila and Eve. This is shit, now my camera's all fucked up. Alright, and this is a movie from 2015. It is a drama thriller directed by Charles Stone III, and it stars Viola Davis, Jennifer Lopez, Shea Wiggum, Andre Royo, and Julius Tenen in this film. Lila, a grief-stricken mother reeling from her son's murder, attends a support group where she meets Eve, who urges her to take matters into her own hands to track down her son's killers. What did I think of Lila and Eve? Well, this is another film I've seen before. I wanted to go back to it, revisit it, and see if I still felt the way I did about it before. And yeah, my rating didn't change. I still really like this film. Again, it's not like it's a super original movie. It's not an original concept. Mother loses child to crime, tries to track down the people responsible. It's a thing it's not a new concept, but the way this is done, it was very above and beyond in certain places, and yeah, I really enjoyed going back to it. But let me get to the actors. To the cast. Excuse me. Today's been a rough day for me. I got my legs bitten by a dog, a neighbor's dog. So, I'm in a bit of pain, but I'll get through it. Um, Viola Davis plays Lila Walcott. She's a mother whose child is taken from her. And Viola Davis is not an actress I have not seen a ton of her films. I've seen The Help. I thought The Help was a pretty good movie for sure. Um, I've seen Night and Day, which in that she was kind of a throwaway character. She was in Law Abiding Citizen, also kind of a throwaway character. Um, oh God, she was in Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close. Oh God. But yeah, just from this film alone, I can definitely tell that she is a talented actress. She does a great job playing this role. I really feel the emotions when she's on screen, and I just think she knocks it out of the park. She feels like a real person, and I'll get to why I think this film feels a bit more realistic than others, but the way that she plays it just really just works for me. It's kind of hard to explain it. It just does. Um, but yeah. Jennifer Lopez plays Eve. I forgot what her last name was, but again, she's another mother whose her daughter was killed. Uh, Jennifer Lopez has been in a couple movies. Excuse me, I'm also a bit tired. And well, she's been in a ton of movies. It lists here she was in 71. Holy shit. But she's definitely a talented actress. Aside from a great singer, she is also a talented actress. She was in uh well, recently I watched Shotgun Wedding. That was decent. She was funny in it. Selena, she's really good in that. There's The Boy Next Door, which isn't a great movie, but she was good in it. There's Enough, which I think is a fantastic movie. If you haven't seen Enough, watch it. Um, she does a great job in it. Uh, there's that movie I want to see called Border Town. I'll definitely look it up sometime. But she's definitely got talent acting wise, and here I really do like the character she plays, who's kind of like this complete opposite of Viola Davis's character. They play off each other well. She's kind of the one that's like, well, you got to get it done. You got to do all this. You got to do what's right so that no one else has to go through the pain you had to endure, like finding out your son was dead and all that. And it was a very nice character to have in this type of film to like get the ball rolling, so to speak. And Jennifer Lopez is just a very easy actress for me to watch. Not just because she's gorgeous, but she just, even though she is one of those people that you could argue looks a bit too Hollywood for a movie like this, that's trying to be a bit more down to earth, and she should look a bit more like Viola Davis. Not that Viola Davis is ugly. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying Viola Davis looks more like a real person. But they do enough with Jennifer Lopez's with Eve's character to make her feel a bit more like a real person. Um, and yeah, it never really stood out to me. Shea Wiggum plays Holliston. He's the main detective on the case of these drug dealers popping up dead, and I always like Shea Wiggum. He's one of those another one of those actors you see in movies, and maybe you don't know his name, but he's been in everything. He does a good job. Andre Royo Escachetti, another detective. He doesn't pop up super often, but um, he's yeah, he's there. He's fine. And Julius Tennant as Ben. He's a kind of next door neighbor that uh Lila kind of gets in relationship with, and I really love their scenes together. They don't have a ton of scenes together. He's not a huge character, but he does feel like a real person too, and it really does add to their chemistry. They feel like they're actually like, it feels like there's actual chemistry there, which is very nice to see. But again, this is again a film that I've seen before. I'm going into it knowing certain things about it and seeing like, oh, let me see if I pick up on certain things this time. Which I think if you're gonna talk about a movie that has a twist in it, um, if you want to be as genuine as possible about like how well you think the twist works, I think watching it a second time, or at least a second time going through it and being like, wait, what else? What like led up to the twist? That kind of thing could definitely help, because with this film, it does. I was looking for certain moments throughout, and for the most part, this film plays the twist well. Now, I do want to talk about more of what I like about the movie before I get to the twist, because the twist isn't the only thing I like about this movie. There's plenty of things to like, and I'll let you know, and I'll put a timestamp in the I'll put a timestamp to when the spoilers start. Um, and I'll like finish off like my thoughts about it, and then I'll go into the spoilers and keep going from there. But this is a film put out by Lifetime. Now, Lifetime is very divisive with the quality of their films. There was another film that was actually a TV movie for Lifetime called Big Driver, starring Maria Bello, Ann Dowd, Joan Jett, Olympia Dukakis. Pretty decent cast. Um, Joan Jett was actually pretty good in that, uh, given that she was a singer. But it seems Lifetime is stepping up certain things. There's an upcoming Lifetime movie with Megan Good that I'm curious about a family buying back their daughter from sex traffickers. That sounds like an interesting story, and it's based on a true story, which is cool. There's one with Anne Hesh that she made before she died, called Girl in Room 13, that I still haven't checked out. But I have not hated most Lifetime films. I usually find them pretty watchable or pretty breezy. They don't take up too much time. They have a beginning, middle, and end. They don't usually do the thing that films do that I hate, where they don't have an ending or it ends on a downer. And I'm not saying I want every movie to be that goofy like Hallmark ending. I don't I could, to be completely honest, I hate Hallmark. I've hated Like it's not that they put out garbage movies, it's that they put out the same movie. And then the Hallmark movie and mysteries, it's just like the same thing with cop movies. It's like, oh, it's like every single murder mystery movie. So even when they try to diversify, it doesn't diversify their portfolios. It doesn't seem to really work. But um, with this film, it again, it's not like it's anything that hasn't been done before. It is kind of your garden variety uh revenge film. It's nothing like out of the ordinary. There's nothing really here that's original to this film. And I'm fine with that because this film is very well executed. Um Again, even though this was a Lifetime theatrical film, which not a lot of Lifetime films go theatrical. The last one, the only one other one I can think of is The Burning Bed, which I think was Lifetime's first film with Farrah Fawcett in the 80s. It might have been a TV movie that had a limited theatrical release like this one, but this one only had a budget of 5 million. So it's not like it's a super high budget film at all. Um this is instead a very well paced, well acted, well executed, well just all around well made film that is bumped up like a peg or two from some pretty capable performances from Viola Davis and Jennifer Lopez. Jennifer Lopez is really good in this. Viola Davis is insanely good in this. She feels like an actual grieving mother. And in a film like this, where a lot of the quality of the film is going to have to come from the acting, if you have a film like this and the acting sucks, there you go. The entire movie hinges on the acting being at least half decent. And that's why it like if they had like done the Death Wish remake with Bruce Willis with someone like Steven Seagal, same exact movie, just have Steven Seagal there instead of Bruce Willis, it would have fucking sucked. It really would have. And it would have brought the movie down around its. It would have brought the movie down. It would have. Now, I know there's a lot of people that don't like that Death Wish remake, and I know I brought up Death Wish with talking about a revenge movie, and they hate that it doesn't have the same point as the original. To be honest, I like that remake more because it's more of what I want in a revenge movie. I don't want to be lectured to about how it's wrong to take revenge or whatever. And especially what they do in Death Wish 2 pisses me off. And I just think the first two Death Wish movies are easily the worst for me. I don't. That it's not even that I think they're terrible movies. It's just that they're kind of. It feels like they relish in the misery a bit, and it kind of reminded me of uh, spit. I Spit on Your Grave. But anyways, if you have a revenge movie that doesn't have an at least all right lead performance, your movie's down the gutter. Now it might not be worthless, but in order to act out something like this, you need somebody who's trying or somebody who is skilled. And Viola Davis is that. Again, even though I haven't seen a ton of her films, she's really skilled at this, I can tell. And the way that this film goes through it all, the whole like, oh, you need to find a hobby. So she starts like pulling up the carpet in her house, and she tries to like clean the house up, renovate it, all that. And she does all this with Eve, and it's well done. The whole like grieving process, I think they did it well. And just overall, this is again, it can feel like a Lifetime movie at points. The way it ends, I didn't mind the way it ended. I know a lot of people on Letterboxd didn't like the way it ended, and yes, it is kind of goofy. It does kind of take too much suspension of disbelief, but I didn't mind it. But I will have to go into spoilers now. Overall, I will say if you want a revenge movie that feels a bit more realistic, I guess, or a bit more methodical rather than action-packed or whatever, then I'd say check this out. It's on Tubi. I'll have the link in the description. But I do have to talk about the twist. So, excuse me. Throughout this entire film, Lila has had most of the film. She has this friend named Eve. Um, or this woman she becomes friends with named Eve, who's at the support group that she's at for grieving mothers. And for most of the film, throughout the film, not a lot of people talk. No one talks to Eve except for Lila. And I never really noticed this the first time I saw it. So watching it again and knowing the twist was interesting because I was like, oh wait, what's going on here? And when the twist is revealed in the third act, it didn't like seem too out of the blue for me because looking back in all of the scenes where Eve is supposedly talking to people, the person that she's talking to is looking at Lila. So the twist of the film is that this entire time, like as Lila is about to show a picture of Eve to the guy who's basically her boyfriend, she's like, "Oh, you want to see Eve?" And she brings up these selfies that they were taking when they're about to go out to the club, and he only sees her, and neither of them see Eve now. And then it flashes back to moments where in the support group where one of the mothers was saying, "Oh, my son came back to me 3 days later. I prayed to God." And apparently Eve was all in Lila's mind. Now, there are a lot of people who will hate this type of twist. I can understand it. But the way it's handled here, it is explained beforehand and it doesn't feel cheap to me because as someone who has gone through grief, I haven't lost my son. I've never had a son. But as someone who's gone through grief, I can understand someone grieving so hard to the point where they basically invent a person to egg them on and get them to make certain decisions. And it didn't feel like ham-fisted to me. Yeah, it's not realistic, I guess, but it made certain scenes make a lot more sense. It cleared up a lot of things that I felt were kind of like, huh? And maybe they cheated a couple times a little bit with how Eve moves and how um Lila moves, but for the most part, I didn't mind it. I liked the twist. I can understand other people not caring for the twist. Again, personal preference, I guess. But I liked it. Um, but yeah, overall, like I said earlier, this is I felt a very well made movie. For the budget, it looks well made. Um, Viola Davis and Jennifer Lopez are really damn good in it. And just overall, it was a dramatic film that I really liked what we got. And yes, I shed a couple tears. Of course I did. But yeah. That was my review of Lila and Eve. If you have seen the film, let me know what you think in the comments. Um, Let me know what you want me to review next, and movie review next door out.